It is my honor to introduce Mr. Waleed Sharif Al-Ani as our guest speaker today. He, like me, is a resident of Colorado, and he is part of the Colorado Refugee Speakers Bureau. Waleed is a refugee from Iraq. He is married and has 3 adult children. He lives with his wife, his daughter, and mother. He has worked with USAID, USDA/FAS, and the State Department in Baghdad, Iraq, for over 10 years, building internal and external customer relations and helping to rebuild the country. Waleed was recognized by the State Department for high standards of achievement. He and his family finally had to flee Iraq because of security threats. Here in the US, his activity leader position at the Denver Library Plaza program provided him with a new purpose in life, helping refugees find their worth by accessing community resources and providing guidance to customers through developing sustainable living plans for themselves and their families by achieving self-sufficiency. I know that he also worked as a community navigator for a program called Project Worth More, which is a great program here in Denver. Waleed's goal in life is to develop his career along the right path and to continue to discover his passions. Please welcome Waleed.
Thank you very much, Ernest. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. And I would like to start with a one note that probably sums up my experience and why I came to the US and to Colorado. And the note says, no one puts their children in a boat unless the water is safer than the land. I think this is exactly what happened to me and my family. I was working with the State Department at the US Embassy for almost 10 years, thinking that there's an opportunity out there and there's a prospect as well for the country to develop itself and become a better, more democratic probably, and has the opportunity for my kids and other people's kids as well to develop in a safe environment where they can pursue their ambitions with the future. But somewhere along the line, I felt that this wasn't happening. And then I was putting myself and my family at risk by just keeping there and staying there. My house was bombed twice by a suicide bomber and turned into rubble and had to rebuild it again. And I faced a near-death sort of experience with a side bomb that almost destroyed my car and almost killed me. So, thinking about all these things to myself, I said, I might have a good job at the embassy, and there's a huge prospect for me. But what would it be like if I lose a member of my family? That thought always came to my mind at that time. I might be, working in the green zone and very happy out there and feel very secure with so many soldiers and so many guards around. But I will have to travel to the red zone and my family would be there. And every time I hear a bomb or I hear something going on in the neighborhood or in the red zone, I just fear for the safety of my kids. And so we decided that enough is enough. and we can only survive, and I can only see the success of my kids and their future. We just left. And that's what we decided. We decided to leave, and we didn't know that we were going to travel to Colorado. It came out of the blue, you know. I it's it's uh, it's very far away from us, a different environment altogether. Iraq, Baghdad is really hot in the summer. I've never seen snow. Not not even my kids have seen snow. And when we first got here and we saw the snow and everything, that was an amazement for us. How do we interact with people in Colorado? How do we set a future for ourselves? That was always the question on my mind, is how do we develop? I had like 20 years of history of experience and living in Iraq and working in Iraq. When we left, that mounted to 60 pounds of luggage on a plane. All that future mounted to that amount. And maybe I didn't get the 60 pounds altogether because, my kids had to take their clothes, and probably their clothes are much more than I had, in terms of clothes or anything that I could buy. Oh, my mom was an 85-year-old mom. She had her medication and she had to travel as well, and she probably took my 60 pounds as well. So eventually we had to leave and get on the plane and find somewhere where it's safe. We got to Colorado, and that was a strange place to us. Amongst our excitement and amongst our anticipation for a better future for us, I was still thinking, what have I done to myself? Why I left all that history and then mounted to nothing, because I started from scratch in Colorado. There wasn't something that I could rely on. I didn't have an employer that somebody can ask and get a reference from. It was a strange place to me, but what I found in Colorado was amazing, because and when I emailed people in my embassy, and they said, how do you find the place? I said, well, it's cold, but the people are warm. And this is what matters. It mattered that there were people that were able to take us in, having nothing, not more than a suitcase. They were able to bring us in to their homes, to a place where we felt safe and we can start all over again. Whether with my kids, whether with myself, I mean, I think about it all the time, starting all over, and starting from scratch when you had all that history of experience and dedication, and you worked very hard for what you got, and then all of a sudden you had to leave because the situation wasn't bearable anymore. For the safety of yourself and your family, that's it. You have to take that decision. And when I first got here, the first job that I got, and that was about 3 or 4 months later, I started as a community navigator. I have no experience with community navigation. I know how to talk to people, and be passionate about it and do a sincere job about it. But I never had the experience and had the knowledge of doing those applications, finding people jobs when I myself was barely surviving and looking for a job. That wasn't easy. So, and housing, I'm stranger to this place. but I'm finding housing for people. You know, that's the amazement about it, is that I was working on something that I lacked. You know, I wanted somebody to handhold me and show me what to do and where to get to, you know, and what do I do with my kids? You know, what school do they go to? And how do I pay the rent and all that? The first day that we got into Colorado, we were living in a 1-bedroom apartment, 3 of us, my daughter, my mom, and myself were living in a 1-bedroom apartment. You know, my other daughter was already married, and she came with us, with her husband as well. So, you know, they lived very close to us. And I lost my wife in 2013 amongst this craziness of war and everything. So I looked at myself and I said, you know, there needs to be a new life for me. You know, I need to forget the past and think about the future, because what the future holds in a safe environment is enormous, it's huge. Although I have to learn new things and new skills and new attitudes with people and a new profession, but what is important is having that safety, is being close to your family and not worrying about them so much with the bombing and the killing and the devastation that happened in Iraq. So I got my first job as a community navigator. And during that process, I was learning, you know, going through training. I had, and you probably see in the background, a lot of the certificates that I got, you know, just here, and trying to push myself and always motivating myself to succeed, as well as motivating my family to succeed, you know, with very little that we had. You know, I knew that the future is going to hold something that is promising, so promising for us, because I have faith in myself and in my creator and all the people that are around me who supported me and pushed me. Because after all, we are humans. We care for each other. And this is what should happen in the world. And this is, the world is losing touch with its reality. Reality is that we are humans and we are responsible for each other. You know, the big heart that opened for us and brought us into this place and get us going again was, you know, overwhelming. I saw a lot of, you know, we went through a lot, and I still do, you know, I still go, I went through so much therapy, mental health therapy and trauma, you know, getting over the trauma. I still get nightmares of the bombing and something bad can happen. But eventually the day would come and, you know, I have a new future. I have something to look forward for. I don't have an end road, but an open street where I can walk, not fearing where I'm going to. There is a future. So I worked with this community navigation, and I became a director with all the, you know, the training that I took and everything, and all the people around me that helped me and supported me. That was great. And then I got another job with the Denver Public Library. and that is helping people like me. You know, I put myself in their shoes and emphasize with what they're going through. And a lot of refugees and immigrants who've just arrived to this country and have nothing. And I quite often, share that information with them. And this is why I think this is basically why I joined that Refugee Speakers Bureau, is because I want to tell the world, I want to tell people that we can do it together. We can succeed if we had our hands tied together and our hearts joined in thinking about each other. We can do it. And, a lot of ways we can speak about the experience that we had. It wasn't, a refugee, it's not an easy experience. It's a bad experience. It's a terrible experience. But this is not out of choice. This is out of necessity. You do it because you care for your family, you care for the people that you're trying to save, and you do it. Because I had a better opportunity out there in Iraq, but I still think that I will have a better future here with people who help me, who have a heart for my situation and have that love and passion to see me succeed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your energy. Appreciate your heart. I just appreciate you, and I look forward to meeting you in person, since we never have done that.
Yes, definitely.
We have some time for some questions, so I'd like to open it up if that's okay with you.
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
Great. The floor is open for questions.
So thanks, Brother Walid. That was a wonderful and emotional speech, which really touched our heart. And as you said, hands together and hearts joined and hands tied. That was wonderful. And the thing is, the very first thing when they enter, when they come here, do you think the first thing we got to give them is the emotional support or the material support, or what do they, or both, of course, but what do you think is the first attention we got to pay for, we got to focus on for the refugees?
Well, I think, you need to look at yourself and you look at your family. What is important to you as a family? What is it? Because like I'm a human and you're a human, and we are all brothers in this, brothers and sisters in all this, And if something comes out of your heart in giving, then this is the right thing to do.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, it has to come from heart instead of just the logistics. Thank you very much.
So, Brother Walid, thank you. This is Vinod Patel from Region 10. Just want to ask a question. When you came over here, were you a part of some agency or something, or some church organizations or something where you will report to and there will be some support and help for you and for the supplies, for the apartment, or you just came here without any support from federal government? I'm kind of saying this in comparison to what is happening currently at the moment with the Afghan refugees over in Houston area. So I just wanted to get a little bit feedback from you. From what you said, I was not very clear. So, brother, if you could clarify that point, if you can.
Well, as you realize, there's an international organization for migration all over the world. This is, I think, a UN agency that helps refugees get, where they are accepted, not many countries, as you realize, accept refugees. I think the United States is one of the largest that accepts refugees. And even in the United States, and probably Ernest would know, that not all the states would accept refugees, So, and once we got into the airport, we came in without passports, as you realize. I mean, we just were picked at the airport and brought here, we were there are three in Colorado. I'm speaking about Colorado, and I'm sure that other states will have the same system, is that there are resettlement agencies, what they call resettlement agencies. My agency was the Lutheran Family Service. There are others like ACC, the African Community Center, and there's the IRC, which is the International Red Cross, that are resettling people in Colorado. And I'm sure there will be other agencies around the United States.
Thank you, brother. We have one in the chat. It seems to me that the greatest challenge is knowing English and getting a car and driver's license in order to be independent. How did you overcome these?
Well, for me, as you realize, and as the profile said, that I used to work with the State Department so I worked almost 10 years. So my English was, okay. But normally what happens with refugees is that they come in and they have to go through ESL classes, what they call English as a second language. So my daughter, actually, when she was enrolled in school, they had her take such classes after normal classes, and she took them. And I think the biggest challenge was for my mom and my daughters, because my mom till today she doesn't speak English. Because she doesn't go to work. She's an 84-year-old woman, and she lives at home most of the time. So and that's the biggest challenge. I had a problem with that. She got lost 3 times, and the police brought her back to our apartment, and I had to put her address on on her neck. So so that the people, the police would bring her back home, because she gets lost and she can't talk to anyone and she doesn't know the language. And that was a big challenge for me. While I was sort of going and seeking work and seeking opportunities out there, going for interviews and that, she would stay at home.
I think we are going to need to wrap it up now. Is there maybe one more question, or?
I think that
this is Ramya Andreas from Region 9. Thank you so much, Brother Walid. Quick question. So how do you suggest that we, I guess, find a balance between, so obviously when you come in, there's support, there's stuff that's needed, but there's, I'm sure, a level of even whether it's shame or feeling inadequate or whatever that is. How do we space they need while still being the support that they need as they need it?
You cut out there for just a little bit, Ramya.
Yeah, but I think I understand what you are saying out there. Is what kind of help refugees normally would need?
Well, no, just kind of balancing, we don't want to be too much in your space, but we don't want to be distant either. So allowing you to have the dignity that you need while still being able to support you.
Well, I think in Colorado, and I've seen it, and we had that experience as well, is that they have that partnership program, what they call a partnership program. Most of the resettlement agencies would have that program, and that is, you're partnered with someone, or a family, or or people, local people that will help you navigate the system, that will be able to help you where to apply for jobs, you know, that kind of thing, and just supports you in general, you know, with the, you know, they probably they will speak English, and you know, they'll be able to teach you English, you know, and help you what are, you know, what needs to be done out there, and how you can manage your self-sufficiency. Because I think what most resettlement agencies plan on self-sufficiency, you know, in financially, socially, you know, even in housing, you have to support yourself. They can only support you for a couple of months, and then you're all, you know, you're up to your devices to manage that.